here playing some Simic Merfolk in Best of 3 Historic, playing a deck testing out Jet Collector, a new edition with the latest Alchemy release. Gives us the option to play Mox Jet in the deck and dig things out of our graveyard. It's been a little bit surprising how well it plays out. I've dropped it into the 2-drop slot, wherein it replaces the Silvergill Adepts for our card advantage engine and the matchups like mid-range and control. And it's been playing out better than expected. So let's see if we can get a relevant matchup here. We are playing against Mordenkainen. Played against Mordenkainen before last time we did. They were on mill of some sort. So this is close to keepable, but I don't think is actually a keep. We can only cast the Hex Catcher. I might even gamble and keep this on the draw, but I don't think we can keep it here. This gives us 2 colored pips, which is great. We're going to keep this, and based on playing them before, toss the Pearl Trident. The instant speed and tunnel guides will be more relevant against a mill deck. Play out the Sanctum first, not reveal the information on Cavern of Souls, and see what they're playing. A Swamp, that could definitely be mill. Thoughtseize could be the same thing. See what they're going to take. We're pretty ambivalent here. Any of these pieces of the deck are pretty redundant. He's going to take the Hex Catcher. That tells us that they've got something we could counter, so we should keep that in mind for the future. Just drop a Tunnel Guide, get our value from that boon on the table before he can get counter spells out. Alright, blue-black, almost for sure still on mill. Another Thoughtseize. Not the end of the world by any means. Tidebinder means he's got something that we can deal with Tidebinder. Oh, and Asphelion is an interesting draw there. Let's swing in and see if he's going to use a removal spell on that Tunnel Guide. I doubt it, but might while Asphelion is on the stack. All right. Asphelion survives. We'll put the counter there. Do we dig for another land, or do we keep a Trickster on top? I think here we're going to keep the Trickster. Having some instant speed action to deal with a removal spell on Svi would be good. And keeping on top is always good to help deal with a mill situation. Oh, we're definitely going to be in range for that Thieves Guild Enforcer to get its Death Touch online. So, here we're just going to attack with Asphelion. They've only got 1 mana up, so we're not really worried about a Fatal Push or anything like that. Drew that 4th land that we're looking for. Let's see if they will gamble on their Death Touch working. We've got the Hex Catcher in hand to deal with that if that's the case. Nope, and they are not going to gamble on it, so we will keep it in hand. I'll sack that. Wind Robber. And we'll pass. Still hoping to catch something meaningful with that Hex Catcher. We'll see if we manage to pull that off, though. Coming in with just the Wind Robber. That's interesting because they make such a good chump blocker against Svi. So that implies to me that they have a plan to deal with her. 1 ring, we will counter that. Alright, so once the Hex Catcher hits the board, we're going to put the counter on Asphelion and then sack the Tunnel Guide. Oh yeah, we want to keep that in our hand, even if it's known information. It is great to have. We're going to play the Tunnel Guide here. Maybe we get lucky and draw a land off of it. We're getting a little greedy when it comes to putting all of these counters on 1 target. Oh, Collected Company next turn is great to know about. Alright, here we come for 7. I assume they're going to have to sack that Thieves Guild Enforcer to block this. I don't know what other plans they could possibly pull out. Bet you he's really wishing he had that Merfolk Wind Robber back as a chump blocker this turn. Collected Company really threatens us hitting a Island Walk Lord against this deck. They can't count on having blockers by any means to deal with us. Hostage Taker, that'll be Svelian for sure. Do we just Coco here? He gets to cast Svelian next turn. Yeah, I think we Coco in advance. We don't really have anything to deal with that Hostage Taker unless he blocks or attacks with it. So we did not hit an Island Walk Lord, which would let the Hex Catcher attack. But I think a Rege and a Svelian is the right play here. Gets everybody a little bigger. Oh, let's try and put a counter here. Because if we can make that Hex Catcher bigger, it can get in this turn. I don't want a Mimic next turn, but it's actually a great hit. So right here, he can offer to double trade, but he wouldn't be able to sack the Wind Robber, and the Hostage Taker would die, giving me back my Svelian. So he's going to take 3, be able to cast a Svelian next turn. That's not actually bad for us. We can even use the Tidebinder just to tap something down with the Rege. And Hostage Taker is such a good and interestingly developed card. It's too bad that it's been mostly taken over by other cards as far as power level goes. All right, we got the scoop tapping down Svelian. We're definitely favored in this matchup. It's not really mill here. It's more of a blue-black mid-range deck. So what do we need to deal with? We're definitely going to bring in that extra Tidebinder. Did we see anything that we need to eaten by piranhas? Not really. Most of the creatures we saw are sackable or just enabling their graveyard synergy. Mindsinger, though, stealing that or forcing them to sack and getting a body would be good. Do we care about Phyrexian Revoker? I don't think so in this matchup. Do we want to bring in Shaper's Sanctuary? We didn't even see a lot of removal from that deck, relatively speaking, so I think we leave it out. Then the only other thing would be an Unlicensed Hearse. We didn't see anything using the graveyard, but I think we're going to assume it's there. Worst case, we can use an Unlicensed Hearse to remove cards from our graveyard and turn off their synergy early. Alright, so Pearl Tridents definitely stay in because of the islands. We need a little bit of speed, a little bit of pressure here. So ideally we'd keep our Shoreline Scouts in. Do we care about Jet Collectors? They're putting a lot of stuff in the graveyard, which gives us that grindability. I think we want to try and capitalize on Jet Collectors. So I think we're actually pulling out Shoreline Scouts and Regeries here. Yeah, I think that's it. And yeah, it's got to be 3 Shoreline Scouts and 2 Rege out. And that will be our sideboard plan. Okay, on to game 2. Oh, we definitely can't keep that with 1 mana. That gives us 2 mana, but it's not great. But I think we have to keep it. Going to 6 would be too much of a risk. And this is an easy pitch with the 2 copies of the legendary card in hand. Getting Thought Seized, not great, not the end of the world. He now knows that we have a Merfolk Trickster we can't technically cast. That also goes for Svelian with the double blue pips, but by the time we get there, we'll probably have another blue land. Oh, that's what he's most worried about. Okay, cool. Okay, we're actually now hoping, because he doesn't know about the Jet Collector, that he plays something that mills us for a bunch, and then we can get that Mox Jet on the battlefield and ramp up a little bit. Or are we getting Thought Seized again? I think we're getting Thought Seized again. We're getting Thought Seized again. If I was him, I would take that Jet Collector. It's going to be the most relevant card in the matchup right now, unless he's worried about something getting counterspelled. Yeah, I think that was the correct choice. All right, we will pass the turn with the plan to cast the Hexcatcher to counter something or at end of his turn. All right, here comes the Hexcatcher. Let's see if it's about to get removed. No, it survived a turn, but we did not hit the land. This is going to be rough if we don't hit a third land. In comes the Lonely Hexcatcher. Yep, Fatal Push will kill it. And then we'll pass the turn. Demolition Field. Well, I've got a basic land, and that would be an upgrade. It'd be wonderful if he tries to pull that. Oh, I guess he could hit the Secluded Courtyard. Yeah, no, this one is a straight up error. He should not be giving me blue mana here. Especially he knows that makes the one card he knows in my hand castable. I mean, I suppose there's a lot of decks that don't have that basic land included in their arsenal, but yeah, I don't think that was the best move. It's going to unlock quite a bit with us drawing that Storm Giants as well. Not the fastest, most pressure that has ever been, but definitely relevant. See what they cast this turn. We're up to 5 mana. They should have something to play. All right, we'll roll out a Trickster. Okay, we get to counter that Fatal Push by sacking the card it's targeting. And then we've just got a 2-drop on the board. Oh, another Secluded Courtyard. Okay, let's run out our Reach here. We want to keep the Island Walk Lord, if at all possible, for a final big attack through blockers. Wonder if he took out all his creatures. We haven't seen any at all, which might mean that he swapped out his creature suite for sweepers. Most black sweepers will destroy, so I'm okay with casting a Svellian into a situation where we're expecting a sweeper. It's not the end of the world, but 3 bodies on the board is not where we want to be against a Damnation or a Witch's Vengeance, for example. All right, let's see if he has a follow-up to hit that Svellian as well. If so, we're in big trouble. Oh, Tishana's is great. Let's see what comes out against this Svellian. Okay, we're going to take away this ability. The ability is not what I'm worried about, but I don't want its Death Touch to be live. I guess I could have counted my graveyard first. Its Death Touch wouldn't have been live anyway. All right, down to 6, and he's in trouble off of his own 1 ring. We're in the range where the Island Walk Lord, if it survives, allows our 2 fish to kill him through blockers. And all he's got is a 1/1 chump blocker at the moment. This is looking good for us. All right, we can't cast that Collected Company, so let's see if we can bait a spell here with an Unlicensed Hearse. We cannot. 5 mana up, I don't think I want to cast a Master of the Pearl Trident into it. Because we're representing having something here, so let's attack and see what happens. At least we should get to draw our card. Here comes in another Thieves Guild Enforcer. This is where that edge case with that Unlicensed Hearse that I mentioned earlier could come into play. Oh, with 2 of them, edge case with the Unlicensed Hearse is not going to do it. We're up to 13 cards, and those trigger on 8. So my theory about sweepers and them pulling their creatures out did not come true. We draw a card, it's not instant speed. Svellian is going to die. All right, we definitely want to hit the Thought Thief with the damage first. We're going to roll out the Cenote Scout. See what's on top. Another Pearl Trident. That's good, bad. Not good enough, actually. We're going to toss it. We really need green mana here and pass the turn. We've got the one Island Walk Lord that can push through 3 damage anyway. He has to play around that regardless. He has to deal with his own 1 ring. It'll make me very happy if he dies to his own 1 ring trigger. It's always great news. Oh, taking an Inquisition. Didn't think of that. That was another reason why it might have made sense to leave that other Island Walk Lord on top. I think that nearly runs me out of them. I've still got 2. I thought there was a 3rd one in the graveyard. I'm going to take my Coco. Go to 1. Does he have another Lord? Hostage Taker. No, he's going to die to his 1 ring trigger, I think. Oh, that's cool. Okay, he's not going to die to his 1 ring trigger. Yeah, in retrospect, I should have kept the Island Walk Lord on top of the deck. All right, let's start pumping this guy up. I don't think he's running flashback cards now that we've seen more of the deck, but we'll take removal spells anyway. All right, we can't attack into that, so we will hold up our Tishana's Tidebinder. Hostage Taker, we're going to counter this ability. Or Tishana's is going to get countered. No. Okay. So we prevent that from happening, but he's still got 4 blockers. All right, fine. You can take the Unlicensed Hearse. But I'm going to take some cards out of the graveyard first. Last Fatal Push, and I guess an Inquisition. Wonder if he'll start attacking here. Seems a little bit unsafe when I've got tappers, but he has 3 blockers. Oh, a Mindsinger. We like that. Does that get us anywhere here, though? No, it does not. I can't take anything without another land. So we might lose this to another hand disruption spell, but right now it's just a body on the board that doesn't get us through the blockers anyway. Yeah, all right. So Inquisition got us again. We're still looking for an Island Walk Lord off the top. No, not this turn, because he's got a 1 ring in play. Can't activate it, but the protection is relevant. Now he's got to start coming in, right? I don't think we are taking any chances. Oh, a Jet Collector would be outstanding here. Yeah. It would make a huge difference if we drew one of them, because it would get us up to the mana to pull an Island Walk Lord out of the graveyard. Knowing we have that out is nice. It only applies after, because I need 5 mana total, 2 to cast it, and then it'll create the Mox Jet after combat to do the black mana. So I either need another mana and a Jet Collector, or it's the next turn before it's actually going to be lethal. All right, he hasn't managed to mill more of the Island Walk Lords or more of the Jet Collectors yet, so we might be getting there. Oh, there's our 3rd Island Walk Lord and a Trickster. We're down to 17. So he's got... Oh, we've got our Secluded Courtyard. So that would give us the 5 mana we need should we hit a Jet Collector off the top. What has he got? 6, 12, 22 mana available. Oh, that's annoying. I only have 1 island in the deck. So We do not need to search for a basic land. So if he swings with everyone, we are going to block the Thieves Guild Enforcers with the Tunnel Guides. Oh, I forgot about the Hearse can actually attack as well as a 4-drop. Okay, he's just chipping in. 2 lands. All right. That's not bad for us so far. We haven't milled our outs. Doesn't do it either, but it gives us an instant speed option to cast, which will trigger the boon, taking us 1 card further on. We are living on a prayer at this point, though, that we top deck exactly the cards we need, or they make an error. Inquisition, so we'll cast our card. Where do we put this? Hexcatcher, I guess. Last pool Mimic can go. We've got 1 Island Walk Lord in 10 possible draws. No, we've got 0 Island Walk Lords in 10 possible draws. I think we are pretty much out of it. Player Svellion. Leave the Jet Collector on top. That's something. It's still 2 turns away before it matters. We can force some blocks, though. Oh, no, he can just block with the Unlicensed Hearse and not trade. So, no attacks there. I think we are about to lose this game to this Mills deck. You get all of them now? Yeah. We're about to lose here. Oh, 1 at a time. He's going with a mill strategy. Okay. 1 card left in the deck. So if I attack with Svellion, I die. Finally hit that green mana that we needed, eh? Yeah. Let's call it and go to the next game. So seeing what was there and what was important, those tail swipes would come in really handy. Jet Collector we definitely want to keep in. Hearse we do not need. So we'll pull in the 3 tail swipes. What else do we adjust and take out? Probably the 3rd Rege. Do we need the Shoreline Scouts back in exchange for maybe the Mind Singers? No, I don't think so. I think the Mind Singers, if we draw them early enough, will be relevant. So we're going to go into game 3 with that as our plan. Game 2 definitely did not go our way. Just not having a draw that lined up very well against theirs. This is a definite keep. We're going to try and roll that Tunnel Guide into Hexcatcher or Kumena and get off to the races quickly. And if they drop a blocker, that Mind Singer next turn will be great. Oh, I was expecting to get Thoughtseize there for a minute. Tunnel Guide in, Kumena. Try and put the counter on Kumena. Island Walk Lord. Yep, we definitely want to keep that in our hand based on how last game went. play the breeding pool. Now, do we play the Island Walk Lord? He probably gets killed if we play him here. Unless he is going to cast Witch's Vengeance. No, I think we still want to run it out. Do we gamble here? If we can hit 2+1/+1 counters on the Pearl Trident, he'd be Witch's Vengeance proof, but no, I don't think that's worth it. We'll put it back on Kumena. Collected Company threatening off the top of the deck. Great. Let's get in. All right, we got him down to 10. That's in the sweet spot for Merfolk killing range. Island Walk is on. He's got 3 mana up. We've got a Hexcatcher in hand. Excellent. All right, so we can cast the Hexcatcher. Another counter on Kumena. Sack the Tunnel Guide. And sack the Hexcatcher or Pearl Trident. Sack the Hexcatcher because the Pearl Trident has 1 more power. Cavern of Souls does not activate Jet Collector's ability. We have enough cards in the yard to get the Mox Jet off of it. So let's do this. And this. We'll steal that Thought's Thief. Swing in with both of them. We get our Mox Jet, and we're a card and a half up. And at least we then have the activation. So Witch's Vengeance doesn't deal with Kumena at this point. And Kumena's Evasion might actually win us the game in the face of a sweeper. I think we're way on the front foot here. Oh, I forgot about the 1 ring. So then Kumena is just a card drawing engine. Anybody else a rogue? No. Do we bother attacking with Mutavault here? No. Alright, we'll play our Cavern of Souls. We will activate Jet Collector 2 and put the Tunnel Guide back into play. We want to attack with the Thought Thief so that if he does do something, he doesn't get it back. And then we have 2 card draws out of the fish that we have on the board, assuming we want to activate the Mutavault to do it. I could have drawn there to try and counter the 1 ring ability, but with a Tishana's Tidebinder, that was not worth it. We saw him go for a Demolition Field when he probably shouldn't have last game. This time we're going for it. Nope, that's not a Tidebinder. All right, and yeah, he was going to die to his own 1 ring or my giant board. So, I mean, it's a game against a blue-black deck. We're generally quite favored in those matchups between Island Walk Lords and our ability to grind it out a little bit and interfere with their plans. And that worked out how we would expect.